Hello everybody. In this video we'll try to understand some more interesting things about Uttaraphalguni Nakshatra. If you observe the professions that are very much comfortable or in alignment with Uttaraphalguni Nakshatra, those professions are creative artists, musicians and entertainers. You can find so many creative artists, so many musicians, so many entertainers with this Uttaraphalguni energy. Superstars and male sex symbols. So mainly in the creative area, you can find lot of Uttaraphalguni natives. And they have good management capabilities. So managers, leaders of all types and public figures like sports superstars. You can find lot of sports superstars also with Uttaraphalguni energy. And those in high positions and held in esteem by others. Because of that Sun and Mercury amalgamation happening through Uttaraphalguni, media and entertainment industry also related to Uttaraphalguni. And Uttaraphalguni's planetary ruler, the Nakshatra planetary ruler is Sun. So very much into religious things also, like priests you can find, and also heads of organizations. And one more important thing is, if you talk about negative qualities of Uttaraphalguni, the main negative quality is they are harsh, cruel, and also they are fraud. Uttaraphalguni, there is a nature of this fraudness also associated with Uttaraphalguni, but that fraudness would be because of, finally that would be because of a good cause, but that fraudness is also associated with Uttaraphalguni. That's why mafia dons have some of the mafia dons you can find having a very significant Uttaraphalguni energy. Teachers, preachers, philanthropists, astrologers, marriage counselors, sex therapists, professions connected to United Nations, because they are very much friendly. If you talk about a friendliness, we generally talk about Puraphalguni, Uttaraphalguni and Anuradha, right? Because of their friendliness, they can be associated with the professions connected with United Nations and also international diplomats, founding fathers and other patriotic figures, bankers and creditors because of the mercurial influence, and social workers, because Virgo sign is very much into service. They are service oriented. Uttaraphalguni natives are service oriented as well. So that's why you can find social workers associating with Uttaraphalguni energy, and professional advisors in all fields. So Uttaraphalguni is highly flexible in regards to professions and can be seen in a very highly influenced professions, and also varieties of professions you can find them. They generally in a very good commanding position in what they actually do. So any profession they take, they want to be in a commanding position there. If you observe the places associated with Uttaraphalguni, those are forests, gardens, estates, public buildings, government buildings, stadiums, entertainment halls, anything associated with this Sun and Mercury combination, and also more related to Sun, any government building you can associate with Uttaraphalguni. Residences of rich and famous people, because it has a lot of kingly qualities. So the palaces, towers, lodge halls, playgrounds, cathedrals and other magnificent buildings are associated with Uttaraphalguni. Any kind of public assembly, any kind of United Nations buildings, libraries, these are all associated with Uttaraphalguni energy. And the nakshatra Uttaraphalguni is Rajasic in nature because you can clearly see its association with sun, and also it's a very active and energetic nakshatra. So it belongs to the fire element, and again the planetary ruler sun is placing a very important role in deciding its Rajasic nature and also fiery nature. It's a fiery element basically, it has that fire element associated with it. And it is considered as a human nakshatra, that is a Manushya nakshatra. So Uttaraphalguni, as we discussed in our previous videos, is very much involved in worldly affairs on the terrestrial plane, and all human values like family, society, friendship find expression through this particular nakshatra. So Uttaraphalguni in a way is a harbinger of culture and civilization, just like Purvaphalguni, similar to that. But more than Purvaphalguni, it has that sun qualities a lot. All varieties of sun qualities you can observe in Uttaraphalguni. And it is a downward nakshatra because of its natural fixed character is best for laying foundations. So it is downward nakshatra because of its natural behavior of fixedness, and its involvement with foundations and support of all types makes it a downward nakshatra. See, in a family also, if you find a Uttaraphalguni nakshatra, whenever they try to initiate something, they try to place a foundation of something. It's something like, just an example I want to tell. Let us say a male person does not have any house or something. When that male person marries an Uttaraphalguni female, the Uttaraphalguni female, let us say she wanted to lay foundation for a house. The person does not have house, the male person. Now the female Uttaraphalguni wants the male to purchase a house. So if she, because of her initiative, if she lays some foundation, once the male person buys that particular or constructs a particular building or a particular house, that would last for a long time generally, right? So the foundations are very strong. That's what I want to say. In a building, Uttaraphalguni will always relate more to the foundation stone or the foundation itself. So they lay foundation for so many good things. And as we discussed in our previous videos, it's a very fixed nakshatra. It has that permanent nature. The thing associated with Uttaraphalguni is a kind of, it's fixed. Let us say two people quarreled with each other, and they are signing an agreement that they would never quarrel again, or even if they quarrel a bit less, and they live together forever if they sign that agreement on Uttaraphalguni day. That's the foundation, right? As a kind of foundation, that's a kind, it can have lot of permanent nature. They would live together forever, kind of, so it's very fixed in nature, very strong foundation it can create. That's what I want to tell, right? The foundation given, laid by Uttaraphalguni, would last for a long time. That's what I want to tell. That's the example I gave in the case of a house, constructed, a house foundation laid by a Uttaraphalguni native. The house foundation would be very strong. Let us say you are trying to create a basement for your house. When you try to create a basement for your house and you try to do it on the day of Uttaraphalguni, then of course it should be based on your nakshatra. For some nakshatras, Uttaraphalguni Uttaraphalguni is not, there is a Navatara concept. We will try to make a video on that. So if Uttaraphalguni is not a feasible nakshatra for you, that is a different concept. But let us say if Uttaraphalguni is a Mitra Tara for you, right, or it is a positive Tara for you, it is a Yoga Tara for you. We will try to make a video on Navatara concept. So totally I want to tell, if Uttaraphalguni is a positive nakshatra for your nakshatra, then definitely on the day of Uttaraphalguni, if you try to make a basement, if you try to start the work of your basement, that would last for a long time. That would have a very fixed and permanent nature, and that would last forever, you can say. Kind of that much impact it can create. Because see, when you talk about Uttaraphalguni, you talk about its fixed nature a lot, because it's very independent. The nakshatra, it does not want to follow along with a flow. It wants to be independent. It wants to be very, very unique compared to others because of its kingly qualities, right? Sun finds its expression through Uttaraphalguni, you can say. The most of the qualities of sun find their expressions through this nakshatra only. That much of impact it can create. And at the same time, it is flexible also. It's not only fixed, it is flexible. Fixed and flexible. That is a kind of rare quality associated with Uttaraphalguni. And when you talk about Uttaraphalguni nakshatra, another important thing is we say it's called as a Dhruva nakshatra. Dhruva nakshatra is nothing but a fixed nakshatra. In Vedic literature or in ancient astrological literature, you can find this nakshatras, this nakshatra mentioning so many times that it is a kind of Dhruva nakshatra. It is very fixed and permanent. Despite its receptivity, amicability and friendliness, Uttaraphalguni is quite fixed. It's very quite fixed in its thinkings, options and functionings. That's why it's very difficult to change the attitude of Uttaraphalguni person also. It's a bit difficult because they're fixed in their thinkings, options and functionings. And this is the reason why it can always be relied upon also. Because once you find an Uttaraphalguni person behavior, right, let us say they are amicable, friendly, helpful, service oriented, they are assigned some task, and the task is very important for you, and the task must be done every month for so many times, or like that. If there is some kind of reliance on them, then you can believe them. They are fixed upon that task. They can do it. Especially nourishment and service, in these areas they're very good. They are going to they can do that activity forever. Let us say if you find an Uttaraphalguni person preparing food and giving it to you, you found it, let us say in some time like 1990, you found that they are service oriented. They are actually giving food, preparing food for their family members. If you find them in 1990 like that, 1991 if you go, they do the same. 92 also same, 93 also same. Till the end they do the same. They're a bit fixed in nature. That's what I want to tell. They're fixed in nature, right? So you can rely upon them. That's why they do that activity forever. You may think, let us say one Uttaraphalguni person is in your life and that person is serving you, and you may think, this person is serving me now, what about in future? In future she or he may serve me the same way or not, right? You may have that doubt. But if the person is Uttaraphalguni person, no need to doubt at all. You can rely upon that person. They can serve you for sure. right? Even if there are some temporary problems with the person, even if you have some temporary problems, still the person would again come for a negotiation, reconciliation and all the stuff, and finally you will again get the services back. So that kind of assurance you can get from Uttaraphalguni native. That's what I want to tell. And one more thing is, see, it is the most beneficial nakshatra to be relied upon, and that is important thing. And it tends not to sway away from pleasures, especially those relating to friendship. And one more important thing is this fixed quality. This fixed quality is just because of this solar aspect, because this sun related gods, whenever there are some sun related gods are associated with the nakshatra, they have that assurance, because see, sun comes every day in the morning, whether you whether you would be in any kind of situation or whatever happens to the world, sun comes early in the morning. Such kind of assurance sun can give. The same thing happens with sun oriented nakshatras, right? Sun related nakshatras. And the kind of fixedness associated with this nakshatras is also beautiful. The Uttaraphalguni nakshatra, the kind of fixedness, of course, see, you cannot change them, but at the same time you can get the benefits from them for sure, forever. You have that one, right? You have that assurance. And one more important thing is, it relates to the second half of the lunar month of Phalguna Masa, right? So that Phalguna Masa is usually corresponds to the month of March in the solar calendar. And Uttaraphalguni is also related to Dwadashi, that is the 12th Tidhi of waxing phase or waning phase of moon's monthly cycle. But that means waxing phase is called as Shukla Paksha and waning phase is called as Krishna Paksha. In Krishna Paksha or Shukla Paksha, Dwadashi, that is the 12th Tidhi, is associated with Uttaraphalguni. And it is favorable for all kinds of sexual activities, marriages, generally auspicious for beginning all things of a lasting nature like organizations, societies. So laying foundation on Uttaraphalguni day is very much better, and it's very good for marriage and sexual activity, and it is very good for dealing with higher authorities as well, and good for administrative actions of all types, or buying property, or if you want to enter a new home, the housewarming ceremonies and all the time and all the stuff, and openings and inauguration ceremonies of all types, swearing ins, and also making promises, performing sacred ceremonies, rituals, wearing new clothes and jewelry, acts of charity, career related activities, also any kind of activity that you start on that day, it's good only, because it is a kind of promise, it's a kind of assurance, it has a lot of fixedness. That's what I want to tell. It's very good for activities requiring tact and diplomacy as well, friendliness as well. But see, it's unfavorable for ending of all types, right? Because it's a kind of laying foundation stone, and that foundation stone would last forever, kind of energy it has. On that day, it's very difficult to end the things. Even if you try to end something on that day, it would not end, right? And it's not good for harsh activities like confrontation, retaliation, or engaging with enemies, because it's a friendly nakshatra basically. And it's not good for lending money if you are expecting it back, because lending money is not a very generally people say it's when you lend money on the day of Uttaraphalguni, it's very difficult for to settle it. So it's not at all good for lending money. If you lend it money, it will never come back. Kind of. On the day of Uttaraphalguni, if you lend some money, it's very difficult to get it back. And Sun is the planetary ruler of this particular nakshatra. So solar aspect of nature comes into manifestation in this particular nakshatra. Not only in this nakshatra, see Kritika, Uttaraphalguni, Uttarashadha, these are solar nakshatras only. The planetary ruler is Sun only. Uttaraphalguni relates to the process where the solar principle affects and organizes the material world, just like if you observe the sun's rays can cook food in a solar cooker, right? So the sun rays come onto the solar cooker and the food is prepared. Similarly, so the manifestation is done here. That's what I want to tell. The material manifestation, right? So the solar principle, how the solar, even when the sun rays are coming, the food is being prepared even on the plants, fruits and everything, right? They get prepared because of the solar rays. The same way Uttaraphalguni energy can materialize the things, right? So the primordial solar principle manifests as a willpower in Kritika Nakshatra, but it takes the form of intelligence in Uttaraphalguni Nakshatra because of the mercurial energy. So solar energy would manifest into different forms on the material world if you observe. Because of the solar energy, see, even doctors say when you lack D vitamin, you would not feel very energetic and you may not function very well. But when you sit in the solar rays early in the morning, you get D vitamin, and with that you can get a lot of energy. Your mind would function better, right? And that is one thing. And because of the solar energy, the plants are getting energy and the plants are getting life, and they are giving you fruits and everything, fruits, flowers, whatever. So at one side it is manifested as some kind of food, and on other side, in the case of a D vitamin story that we said just now, you're actually getting some kind of energy and intelligence. So the same solar energy is manifested into different forms. And let us say when a person, and even early in the morning, if you do some ritual, if you do some puja, you do with lot of, you get lot of willpower, you get a lot of a kind of stability in your thinking and emotions. So this solar energy can be manifested in so many forms on the earth, in the material world. That's what I want to tell. In Kritika Nakshatra, it is actually shown up as willpower, whereas in Uttaraphalguni Nakshatra, it is shown up as some kind of intelligence. Mercury is associated with Uttaraphalguni because most of Uttaraphalguni Nakshatra is lying in the area of Virgo, and Virgo's ruler is actually Mercury, right? So Uttaraphalguni is all about the linking between soul and the intellect, because Uttaraphalguni first pada is in Leo. Leo is related to Sun. Sun is your soul, and the three parts of Uttaraphalguni are in Virgo. Virgo's ruler is Mercury. Mercury is nothing but intelligence or intellect. So Uttaraphalguni is forming a bridge between Leo and Virgo. So Sun is soul and Mercury is intellect. So it is forming a bridge between your soul and intellect. So that is the fundamental nature of Uttaraphalguni, that can form a bridge or link between your soul and your intellect. And your soul finds expression through your intellect only. With your intelligence, you behave in a way, and that is actually the behavior of your soul. So your soul finds its expression through your intellect. So if you observe this particular nakshatra's influence, if a person, if under this nakshatra's influence, the solar energy is directed towards actual practical work in order to achieve certain goals which the soul has set for itself, right? So the soul is taken this human form to achieve something, to complete its goal, right? So Uttaraphalguni is about the linking between the soul and the intellect. By intellect you are doing the manifestation of your desires. So basically the practical work, see, the solar energy is directed towards this actual practical work in order to achieve certain goals in this particular janma, you say, right, in this particular life, which the soul has set for itself, and also help out others along with its own fulfilling desires. That is the fundamental nature of Uttaraphalguni. So Uttaraphalguni people are able to manifest the things, able to lay foundations and also manifest the things, right? And another important thing is, see, just as living life on our planet is dependent upon this particular solar rays, all society and civilization is dependent upon the guidance of this particular Uttaraphalguni Nakshatra. So they can guide the people better. It's a very good nakshatra. Only thing is, it has that harsh and cruelty and also a bit of fraudness associated with it, but is one of the finest and greatest nakshatras. A very nice nakshatra, right? So Sun and Mercury conjunction in a horoscope carries similar energy of this nakshatra, and friends of Sun like Moon, Mercury, Mars and Jupiter, they also do well here. So and of course the enemies of Sun, if you observe, Venus, Saturn, Rahu and Ketu, feel a bit uncomfortable. They are obstructed basically here, especially Venus, due to its debilitation in Virgo part of this nakshatra. So it's not a very comfortable position for Venus to be in Uttaraphalguni nakshatra. And the sexual animal associated with this nakshatra is a cow, and that suggests its nurturing and passive qualities. Although this nakshatra has noble qualities attached to it, it is said to give reputation or scandal through sexual adventures. So this nakshatra has an adventurous element which seems to express itself mostly in the sexual realm. Sexual adventures is very much associated with Uttaraphalguni nakshatra. And the interesting thing about Uttaraphalguni is that it relates most closely to the visible physical sun of our solar system, right? And most of the sun qualities find expression through this particular nakshatra, and the physical body of our sun may have started forming around some billions and billions of years, let us say some 5 billions of years ago, generally people say, but the actual causal solar entity we know as, so there is a solar entity mentioned in astrological literature, that is Vivasvana. Vivasvana is the solar entity mentioned, and this particular Vivasvana might not have entered until a later time, just like the astral body only enters the physical body after the embryo has been developed upon up to some certain stage. So 5 billion years ago, the physical body of our sun, right, formed, but the actual causal solar entity is Viswa, this particular Vivasvana, and he might have, you know, uh, you can see this particular Vivasvana might be very, very older, right? So this can understand, from this you can understand the fact that not every star in the sky has a solar system which breeds life. Only those stars which have an astral or causal entity housing them have the, potential to breed life. So you can find so many stars, but sun is very special, and sun, that's why sun is treated as a planet actually in Vedic astrology, because sun can influence the life on earth very much, you know. And I want to tell you another important thing. The names of the sun's 11 brothers, who are all born out of the union of sage Kashyapa and his wife Aditi. Aditi means, as we know, Aditi means the infinite space. And we discussed Aditi when we tried to discuss Punarvasu Nakshatra. Aditi means the infinite space, right? See, and I want to tell you the 11 brothers, the names of the sun's 11 brothers who are actually born from Kashyapa and Aditi are, first one Aryaman, then Dhatra, then Tvastar, Pushan, Savitar, Mitra, Varuna, Amasa, Bhasa, Vishnu, and Shakra. These are the 11 brothers of sun, and we can clearly see that almost all of these solar deities are related with nakshatras, because see, Aryaman is associated with Uttaraphalguni, and Mitra with Anuradha, the 17th nakshatra, and Pushan is associated with Revati, the final 27 nakshatra, 27th, and Savitar is associated with Hasta nakshatra, the 13th one, and the Tvastar is associated with Chitra nakshatra, the 14th nakshatra, and Varuna is mainly associated with Shatabhisha nakshatra, that is the 24th nakshatra. So most of them are generally associated with nakshatras, right? So clearly, of course, Dhatra is not associated with anything. Amasa, Bhasa, and Vishnu and Shakra, these 5 are not associated, but 6 among them are associated with different nakshatras, if you observe, right? See, this particular, as we discussed, the physical body of our sun may have started forming around 5 billion years ago, but the causal solar entity is Vivasvana, might not have entered until a later time, right? Just like the astral body only enters the physical body after the embryo has been developed up to a certain stage, right? So this particular thing is very, very important. See, the astral body only enters the physical body after the embryo has been developed up to a certain stage. So if you take embryo, let us say it is developing, it is being developed, and then once it is developed, then only the astral body enters the physical body, right? So according to Vedic literature, even let us say a baby is growing, is taking the form in the mother's womb, and after certain number of days, after certain number of days, the soul enters the soul enters the the soul enters the mother's womb, right? So the astral body, that is the soul, enters the physical body, that is in the mother's womb. The mother's womb, whatever is forming the kind of embryo, right? That is the physical body. It enters only later. So the physical body of our sun may have started forming around 5 billion years ago, but the actual solar entity is Vivasvana. Vivasvana is the soul of the sun, you can say, right? The soul of the sun, of course, see, it depends. You may think the physical body of sun came into existence 5 billion years ago, and Vivasvana, the soul of the sun, you can say, entered the sun later time. But from where this Vivasvana had come from? So it is much older than sun, but it entered sun, of course, later, after 5 billion years, that time, right, the time frame. But Vivasvana was much older than sun, right? So this particular solar behavior is very, very, very ancient, you can say. The ancient is very, very, it's not a correct word. It's a kind of universal. It's a kind of eternal. Vivasvana, the soul of sun, eternal. It's eternal. See, one more important thing I want to tell. This nakshatra has its first quarter in the sign of Leo. It's related to regal authoritarian side of this particular nakshatra, and it is a doubling of solar energy, Uttaraphalguni 1, because Uttaraphalguni is associated with sun, the solar energy, but it is in the sign of Leo, Uttaraphalguni 1, so it's more solar. And the last 3 quarters of this particular nakshatra under Mercury, that is very intellectual, and all the stuff, intellectuality and all the stuff, mercurial qualities find expression through Uttaraphalguni 2, 3, 4. But Uttaraphalguni 1 is more solar. See, on a spiritual level, if you observe this, the main aim of this particular nakshatra is harmonization of the intellect and soul. That is the spirituality for Uttaraphalguni. Harmonizing a spirituality, this harmonizing, that means the finding the balance between intellect and soul. That is their main spiritual goal. The spirituality of other nakshatras is completely different, but the kind of peace, the kind of balance, if they find between intellect and soul, that's it. That is sufficient for Uttaraphalguni. That only aids evolutionary growth, along with bringing benefits on material plane for them. That is their spirituality. And this particular nakshatra relates to the culmination of the individualization process. Why? If you understand culmination of individualization process, so you may find that's why these people are very much independent, and sometimes they want to live alone, they want to live separately, they want to be very, very independent. So the individualization process also, it's the culmination of individualization process, because the Uttaraphalguni is leaving it's leaving Leo at this, right, as it's not only entering Virgo with its 3 padas. It has only one pada. It is the final process of that individualization because of that Leo, right? It is in the last part of the Leo. So if you take Leo as an individualization process, Leo is basically the individualization process, right? Because when you talk about Leo, the sign, you always talk about I, myself, me. That's where the Magha wants to be top number one. I want to be number one. I concept is there, right? And in Pura Falguni, I want my comfort. I have my ego. I am the first. If you disturb my comfort, it's something like you're disturbing a sleeping lion. That is Pura Falguni. So I concept is very much enhanced in the sign of Leo. I, that is Leo. And in this Leo also, the final one, the final part of Leo is Uttaraphalguni first pada. So it's a culmination of individualization process is associated with Uttaraphalguni. After the individualization process is over, the individual is expected to be of service to greater whole. That's why Virgo sign is mainly related to service. Once you think about I, that is done. In Uttaraphalguni, that is done in the first pada. So in 2, 3, 4 padas, what they think about? They think about service. That's why Uttaraphalguni 2, 3, 4 are very much service oriented, whereas Uttaraphalguni first pada is, of course, that I factor is very much high. At the same time, in the whole Uttaraphalguni, this I process is there, this individualization process is there, but it ends somewhere in Uttaraphalguni first itself. But 2, 3, 4 also, see, you may see them as very much independent. It doesn't mean that they are only thinking about themselves, because they are very much independent in nature. They want to be separate, they want to be very unique, they do not want to go with the flow, right? So that's where you're seeing them as very, very independent. And as they're independent, it doesn't mean that they don't take care of anybody. They are service oriented also. 2, 3, 4 padas are very much service oriented. Even though they are independent, if you go to them, they serve you better. They give you all kind of nourishment and everything. So the service aspect of this particular nakshatra comes out through the sign normally associated with service, that is Virgo. Virgo is service oriented. The characteristics usually associated with the number 12 in numerology are mostly born out of the nature and functioning of this particular nakshatra. See, Uttaraphalguni forms the bridge between the numbers 5 and 6, right? Because Leo is 5 and Virgo is 6. It is forming the bridge between Leo and Virgo, and also between the numbers 11 and 12, right? And also between the numbers 11 and 12, because by Aslesha 9 nakshatras are ended. Magha is 10th and Pura Falguni is 11 and Uttara Falguni is 12. So 11 to 12. That bridge, the Pura Falguni ending and Uttara Falguni starting, this whole thing is 11 to 12 transformation or transition, you can say. So this nakshatra can be seen as the in Egyptian thing, if you find the Sphinx, that is right, so that is actually symbolizing the this kind of finding harmony between the self and intellect, or harmonization process, right? The Leo and Virgo energies, harmonizing these two energies. So the soul to intellect, that kind of harmony is very, very beautiful. It's not an easy thing, because soul finds its expression through intellect only, and it relates to a period of time in history, you can say around some 10,000 BC or something, where the spring equinox was passing from the sign Virgo to the sign Leo, right? That is the very, very important period, that is 10,000 BC, where the spring equinox was passing from the sign Virgo to the sign Leo. So many believe it to be a time of great upheaval and realignment, 10,000 BC, right? See, as the last great flood was supposed to have taken place around that time, right? See, the importance of this nakshatra on human life on earth is very much illustrated by this 10,000 BC time. During the time, that was the last great flood happened according to Egyptian theories. So, and at that time, if you observe, a spring equinox was passing from the sign Virgo to the sign Leo. So that is the transformation. The soul to intellect connection is very, very, it's a kind of great thing, right? This particular nakshatra, if you associate this nakshatra with sages, you can associate with Pulastya. Pulastya is, of course, one of the 7 celestial sages who are actually looking after the affairs of our galaxy. So the name Pulastya means having smooth hair. Having smooth hair. So smooth hair may relate to the hair of the sophisticated, savvy nature of the sage here, so which will then vibe well with the essential qualities of this particular nakshatra. The smooth hair, that is actually the representation of the energy of this particular nakshatra. And if you're suffering from any bad effects of Uttaraphalguni nakshatra, because if some malefic planet is sitting here, then the best remedial measure for you is worship sun. That is the main thing. And also recitation of the Gayatri mantra is very, very helpful for you if you're suffering from malefic influences of Uttaraphalguni nakshatra. And you can see sun is a very, very good planet, very because of it only the life is existing on earth, life happened on earth. You can say so many things, so many great things about sun. So if you worship sun, then you can come out of the malefic influences of this particular nakshatra if you have any malefic planets sitting here. And worship of Durga and other warrior-like feminine deities also good for this particular nakshatra, especially if you're suffering due to the malefic influences of this nakshatra. And repetition of the mantra Om Cham or Om Jam is also very good. That is, every day 108 times you need to chant, especially when moon is transiting Uttaraphalguni nakshatra. If you chant this mantra is very good. And even if you're benefiting from the positive energy of this nakshatra, also you can chant this mantra. Then it will increase the good effects through this mantra's energy. And it is helpful for the natives that are getting the beneficial aspects, beneficial things of this nakshatra. They better wear all red, white, green and golden shades. So the shade should be neither too bright nor too dull, but fall somewhere in between. So for them it is very good. And they should use directions, lunar month, the Falguna, right? That is the latter part of Falguna, and also the directions associated with it, as we discussed in our previous videos, the directions and everything. When moon is transiting this particular nakshatra, better they do all these things, and better they start any activity on Uttaraphalguni day if a person is benefiting from Uttaraphalguni nakshatra. And laying foundations is very much associated with this nakshatra. That's very beautifully. If a person lays foundation, or if in Uttaraphalguni, strong Uttaraphalguni native uh, lay foundation for this one, that would be forever kind of. So George Washington, if you observe, one of the founding fathers of America, was born with Uttaraphalguni rising on his ascendant. So it is very much interesting here to note that he fashioned the capital city of Washington on the sign Virgo. You know, so we can assume that its foundation stone must have been laid with Uttara Falguni rising for it to become the center of world power today. And it has a lot of permanence associated with it. So George Washington laid foundation for great superpower, that is America, and that's it. The kind of nature associated with it, you can see it almost worked, right? Of course, in 2024, these days that is going down, USA is going down, but for so many years it was the superpower in the world, right? And you can see so many other people having Uttara Falguni rising. So many other people. I will try to make a video on different people in future, so I don't want to uh, tell all the names here, because it may take another 1 hour for that alone. So you can see any kind of laying foundation is associated with Uttara Falguni very nicely. And according to Varaha Mihira, if moon is in Uttara Falguni, that kind of native can earn through, those natives earn through their knowledge, are well liked and popular, and live a life of comfort and luxury. It's a positive nakshatra basically, except its harshness and cruelty, and also a bit of fixedness. They don't change, right? But that is okay. Even if they don't change, you can be friends with them, you can get nourishment, service, and all the stuff from them. Very good basically. It's not a good idea just because of their fixed and a bit of harsh and cruelty. That their harsh and cruelty is also it comes out when things go a bit wrong, and you cannot change them also, right? It's a bit that is the only problem. Otherwise Uttara Falguni is very good. You can have some good life with them, not a problem, right? But when they don't change, that is the most annoying thing that everybody feels. So this is about Uttara Falguni Nakshatra. Thanks for watching this video.